Hey guys, welcome to this the fourth episode on this tutorial I'm making about creating a Go application using a Dachi router. My name is Andres, and I'm going to talk to you about creating getting information from the request body on the post and the pull request and making some validation. So last time where we left is we created all the routes. So let's go to the server, and here we created all the routes we're going to use. We're going to use the get all to dos, the create to do, the get one to do, update to do, etc., etc., etc. But if we go to the create to do, we see here we're only using a fake to do object. So we need to make it that the user will input that information to us. So right now have been testing is using the curl command on the terminal. So go back here, type curl, then we will get our response. But that's not very friendly to use. Let's there's a technology called Hurl. It's very similar to curl, but it has a very nice Neobeam plugin that I like to use. So let's start by creating in our project. I'm going to create a test folder. Inside of that, I'm going to create a Hurl, and let's create a call to the home route. So let's call home.hurl. Okay, so let's open that. And here we just say I'm going to make a GET request to HTTP localhost 3000. And if I call her by pressing letter A, we see we're making a request and we get hello world using error. That's the response we get getting, and all the header information. We need very good for debugging, so very easy to use. Now let's create some other Herald files that we're going to be using. Let's create a to-dos. I'd like to make the way my APIs are so it's easier for me to read later. And here I'm going to say get all to-dos .curl, and I'm also going to do to-dos create to-do.curl. I'm going to create both files. So let's first start with the get all to-dos, and here I'm going to say get HTTP localhost. If we remember at 3000, we remember we created an API v1, and then we say to-dos, and if we say did array, we get an empty array because there are no to-dos yet. And if we go to the create to do, I want to say I'm going to make a post request to HTTP localhost API v1 to-dos. So right now what's going to do this is the array is going to create a new to-do, and if we go back to the get all to-dos, we right now have it in our database. Perfect. So what to do next? Now that we have an easier way to test inside of Neobeam and we get all the information, let's go back to our server and go to the create to do. So when we create a to do, we need to read the request body. So for that, we have a an object that we have access that is called r.body. And we can say if r.body equals http dot nobody. So if we don't have any body, we're going to say, we're going to return with a right header. We're saying http dot status bad request, because it's bad request, we don't have any body information, and we're going to say, give a message. So we're going to say write nobody provided, and we're going to exit early because there's nobody, we cannot process, and we're giving the information to the user. So if we go back to our create to do, and with nobody, we say leader A, we get nobody provided. Perfect. And as you can see here, we get a 400 status that we were expecting because we said it's a bad request. Now, if I added an empty body and we say leader A, okay, now it continues. It says created and with the information we gave. But let's go one step at a time. So let's save this and let's go to our to-do. Okay, now we validate we have a body. So next I'm going to create a var. I'm going to say this body is going to be make a map string interface, so that way we can receive everything from the body. So we're going to be using the JSON package. So if I'm going to say error is JSON, say if error JSON new decoder. What do we want to decode? The r.body. And where we want to decode it into, we want to decode it into the body. We pass the address, so it's the pointer to the body, so it will change it. And I'm going to say error not equals new. So if we cannot decode the body, I'm going to say it's a bad request, error decoding the body. Okay, perfect. Now that we have in the body, we can say if we don't have, if we say body title, so if not, okay, you can say var title string. I'm going to say here so let's do it this way. If we don't have, so say if there's a title property in our body, if there's is not a property body, if not okay, we're going to say it's a bad request and there's no title provided. But if we have a title, we're going to say we're going to get the body title, and we're going to cast it as a string. Okay, so now let's go back to Herl. Let's go to our create to do. If we run it like this with no body, with a no title inside our body, we say no title provided. So let's go back here and let's give it title to do one. Okay, and let's run, and now we have it to do one with the completed files. If we go back to this, I'm going to make a split and here I'm going to open our get all to-dos, and if we run here we have our to-do. And if I change this title and say another to-do, and we get all our to-dos, we see we have that, but as you can see, it's not very easy to read, and our content type is still text plain. So we have to tell our application that we're returning a JSON object. So let's save all, and let's go here, and on our get all to-dos, I'm going to say W, say header. I'm going to set our content type, and it's going to be application/JSON. And I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it on our to-do. Okay, so if we go back to our create to-do, if we say here, and we say here learn code, we have our information back. It seems like I didn't save because we're still getting text plain. So let's go back to our to-do. Let's save this, and let's go back to our create to-do. Leader A. What's going on here? Let's go see what's getting any errors. Okay, let's find buffer. To do. So okay, what's going on here? Maybe we need to set this before. Okay, let's make the same thing here, and now let's try it again. Leader A. Now we can see we get a content type application.json, and we have something a little bit easier to read. And if we go to our get all to-dos, we also get a little bit easier to read a JSON file. So if we go to create to-do and create, and say learn G, we create it with a new ID, and let's go here, and it's much easier to read and see all the objects. So that way we have now some data validation to our create route. But there's much more things we can do here. Let's go back to our return node server to do. We can also give some more validations and whatnot. But for today, we're going to leave it like that. When we get what to do, we have that working. Now we have to do the same, kind of the same thing with the update to do. So we're going to say if r.body, which there's no body, we want to say there's no body provided. We cannot update something like that. Then we're going to say we're going to try to decode our body to a new JSON object, and we're going to say if there's a body object, we're going to get So what are we going to? We need this ID first. And we're going to say we have our we have our ID, and we want to do what do we going to do. So we're going to, if there's a title, we want to say for we get that to do it's going to be our in range on that our to-dos. If we have a to-do dot id, okay, so this going to see if I'm going to say query id here. I'm going to say id dot error equals to string convert a toy ASCII to index our query ID. If error not equal to nil, it's because we don't have a correct how do we say integer. We don't have an integer, so we're going to say here invalid ID. Okay, so but if we go here and see what's our ID, it's an uint. So we're going to say I'm going to say this is a uint. No, sorry. We're going to say this is uint. We're going to say uint, and we're going to pass the ID. Okay, so if we find an ID that's equal to the ones we have, then we're going to change the ID, and if we now here we're going to change the flag. That's going to say here is found false, and we say found equals true, and here we're going to say if not found, we will tell the user that we didn't find this to-do item. But if we did found it, we're going to change, and here also we're going to break. And we want to break our for, so we don't continue searching. Now that we have this, we're going to return the status of okay, and we're going to also say that w.header. We're going to set our content type to JSON, and we're going to say JSON dot new. We want to encode to a new JSON. What we're going to decode, where we want to decode it to our writer, and here we're going to need something else here. I'm going to say bar found to do is going to be a database of type database to do. Also here I'm going to say found to do, and what are we going to encode? We're going to say we're going to encode our found to do. So, and finally, I think we're missing something. Here is, I think we need to do I will say have to start db, need to update our to do with our found to do. And what else do we need here? We need to give that to do, and we need to give the ID. So we need to say ID dot, and we need to say this is going to be an uint. So let's do something here. And here we're going to say this is going to be our int ID, and our ID is going to be equals to uint our int ID. That way we always pass we're using a uint. So let's test this. So for testing, remember, we're going to, on our test, we're going to, in our to-dos, we're going to create a new SAS update to-do.curl. So here in the update to-do, we're going to say put HTTP localhost, and we're going to update that one, the first to-do. So we say leader A, there's no body provided, perfect. We say leader A, okay. We are getting ID 0 title, okay, there's something wrong here, because we don't have any to-dos. So let's go back to our to-do. We didn't find it, so okay. So here we need to debug a little bit. So we know we don't have any items inside it, so we're going to okay, I know what's going on here. We're looking if there's no title. If there's no title, we're not going to do anything. But I think we need to find first our specific to do. So I'm going to say here found false. I'm going to say for to do, and I'm going to say here if to do is equal ID, and we do everything here. And now we want to see, and if not found, we're going to return a not found. But if there's no body, we're not doing anything. But if there's a body, we want to change the body and pass that to save on our database. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we now get the correct message. And let's say leader A, okay, to do not found, perfect. Let's create a new to-do. Let's create a new to-do. We'll create it now. And now let's update it to do. Let's update that to do and say here, I'm going to say title. We're going to say learn, go, and G. Okay, so now if we run, say get learn, go, and G, and if we go and get all the to-dos, we get learn, go, and G, and learn G. Okay, Okay. Mm, we've updated that one, but we created a new one. Okay. I'm not going to address this mistake because next week we are going to add a real database, and this kind of issues we will not be facing. So I think I'm not going to address it now in the video, uh, but make sure to comment, like, and subscribe if you want to see how we can address this thing in the future. Okay, guys, for today that is going to be it. We will be next week talking about adding a real database to our application. We're going to be adding Postgres, and then we will have an easier way to update and create and all that good stuff. So thank you guys, and see you next week. Bye.